Stocks plunged across Asia and Europe this Monday, shares nosediving around the world as higher U.S. tariffs and a backlash from Beijing triggered massive sell-offs. The European Union is facing America's 20% tariffs due to take effect this Wednesday. The UK and other nations were hit with 10% duties on Saturday. Donald Trump says he didn't want the markets to fall, just says it's a bitter pill to swallow for now.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs.
We've got Kethevane Gorjestani on the set to talk a bit more about all of this. Kethevane, we've seen markets now tumbling around the world, big powers like China and the EU planning their retaliation, but it seems not everyone's willing to go head-to-head with the U.S. and Donald Trump.
Yes, look, the world is trying to figure out what Donald Trump is really trying to achieve, whether it's sort of tariffs that are here to stay in the long term because he wants to remake the global trade order, or if it's simply a negotiating tactic and therefore Donald Trump is waiting for concessions from other countries in order to lift those tariffs. And so some are betting on that negotiating tactic option or theory and have started talks with the Americans in order to try to ease at least some of the pain from those tariffs. Now, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, he announced that more than 50 countries apparently have started reaching out to the Americans to try to start discussing possibilities to get out of this. Bessent and others in the Trump administration did not go into the details of who those countries were or what sort of discussions they were having with them. But some countries have come out publicly to say what they are offering to the United States. Some of the hardest hit, for example, like Taiwan, they're facing 32% tariffs on their exports to the United States. They offered 0% tariffs on U.S. goods coming into Taiwan as the basis to start negotiations with the American. They also offered to remove other trade barriers and also raise possible Taiwanese investments in the United States. Vietnam, they're facing 46% tariffs. Donald Trump said that he had a phone call last week with the president of Vietnam. He called that call very productive, and he said that the Vietnamese president was offering, again, their 0% tariffs in exchange for a possible deal. Then you have other countries like India or Japan. They're hovering around 24, 26% tariffs. They have said no retaliation for now, and we are open to talks. We're opening the door for that. We don't know how long these possible talks could take. Right now, the Trump administration is insisting that these tariffs are here to stay, although when you push a little bit, they are only committing to a few weeks, which means that there is possibly a door open for those tariffs to maybe not disappear completely, but possibly be reduced for the people who decide to play game with the U.S.
Now, one of the people who's trying to play ball with the U.S. is the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, who is in Washington at the moment. I mean, what can we expect from his meeting with Donald Trump today?
Well, look, the tariffs are top of his mind. He said so in a statement, and his first meetings in Washington that we see there, they happened yesterday. As he arrived in Washington, he met immediately with the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, as well as the U.S. Trade Representative, Jameson Greer. Israel clearly is looking to sort of reverse Donald Trump's decision because they were slapped with 17%. Israel tried to avoid that extra tariff by sort of preemptively announcing that they were going to remove whatever was left of tariffs on U.S. Goods going into Israel to bring it down to zero. That's appeared to not be enough for Donald Trump to exempt Israel from these tariffs. But because the argument for the Americans is that there's still significant trade deficit for the United States when it comes to Israel. And we know that it's not just about the actual tariffs. It's also more broadly about trade deficit. So this could also be a sort of tactic between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, with sort of an understanding that we're going to slap tariffs on you, you are going to make some concessions, and we're going to find a deal so that you're an example for maybe other countries in the world that there is the possibility of negotiating something. That is for the tariffs, which is the sort of urgent matter that just unfolded in the past week or so. But of course, there are some major geopolitical questions also that are going to be coming up in Donald Trump's meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. The war in Gaza is obviously top of mind because after that collapse of the ceasefire deal, the U.S. is trying to get another ceasefire deal in place to release the hostages. You're going to have Steve Witkoff, the U.S. envoy for the Middle East, that's going to be participating there, and probably two other topics that are going to be on the agenda: the question of Iran and also the question of the situation in Syria, where Israel and Turkey are increasingly at loggerheads. So a lot of questions, a lot of different questions for this meeting, and a joint press conference between the two leaders later on this evening.
All right.